And I just realized that this mic has been off the whole time. Awesome. Hello and welcome back to some more Magic the Gathering, playing some Modern Dredge again, doing a post commentary because I did the whole video and realized, oh yeah, my mic's not on. So here we are. So this is the exact same list I've been playing before. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know this is pretty much the exact same thing I ran last couple times I played Dredge. No updates. I haven't gotten any new cards for it yet. Probably will after the holidays, but for right now, let's just play this. I wanted to play Dredge a little bit, so I will see you in game one. All right, here we are in game one. I'm going to take the play. I won the invisible dice roll, so I'm going to go on the play here because we are playing Dredge. We want to get out and fast as possible underneath people, get that massive amount of, what's that word? Advantage. I just realized I clicked off of the companion here, and it wasn't till toward the end of the match I even realized that they even had a companion. So this opening hand, excuse me, we mulligan down, trying to find a decent hand. I ended up keeping this one based off of just Otherworldly Gaze. If we could find a second land, we're off to the races. So all we really need to do is find a second land, preferably one that taps for any color. Would be great since we have Life of the Loam. So we're just going to play our Wooded Foothills, and our opponent is going to counter our Wooded Foothills with a Flooded Strand. So I'm thinking some kind of control deck right here, and I decide that instead of firing off Otherworldly Gaze, I'm going to just go ahead and draw and not crack this Wooded Foothills and attempt to maybe draw a second land, and we get another Otherworldly Gaze. So now I'm just like, I will Otherworldly Gaze in response to them cracking their Flooded Strand. So they go to fire off the Flooded Strand here, and I'm like, haha, you've activated my trap card. So I start digging for land. I go with Steam Vents and Otherworldly Gaze, and I find Darkblast, Mana Confluence, and Wooded Foothills. So I'm going to bin Darkblast. I'm going to bin Wooded Foothills. I'm going to draw Mana Confluence. And the reason why I did that is because we only really need 2 lands. So once we draw this Mana Confluence next turn, we can just start dumping our hands and going and trying to start milling through our top of our deck. So the idea is we're going to do that, and we're already down a land. Now I could have gotten Wooded Foothills and fetched for a Stomping Grounds to turn on Life of the Loam, but I like the idea of just having a land that taps for every color rather than just going one card deeper. But they go up and get a Radio Triome, and they play another Flooded Strand. We're going to draw a Mana Confluence here, and I decide to just go ahead and fire off this Cathartic Reunion, because worst case Ontario is a counter this Cathartic Reunion, but part of its cost is I have to ditch my Dredger and my Ox of Agonas. So even if they decide that, hey, you're not allowed to do your Cathartic Reunion, I can go, oh yeah, well guess what, I'm still going to Life of the Loam here. And the idea is to just start gathering card advantage with Life of the Loam, just picking up our lands. But they don't counter it, so I dredge a bunch of stuff, hit a couple Creeping Chills, hit a Silversmote Ghoul, hit a Prized Amalgam. So it was a really good dredge for us, for them not to have countered. Again, I'm still thinking in my Nobel Prize winning brain that this is none other than like a Jeskai control. So we get back our Ghoul here, which will allow our Prized Amalgam next turn, and they fetch here, and I start to smell something fishy after this one, because they get a Zagoth Triome, which I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right, and I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't just Jeskai control. I've not been keeping up with Modern. I don't know what the top decks are, the top control decks. I don't know. So I'm like, what is this? Again, if I would have just paid attention to the companion, I would have known what this was way earlier than when I found out what this deck is doing. We didn't give our opponent enough time, spoilers, in game one for them to get like for us to get an idea of what they're doing. Again, a Mountain Forest is a little interesting. And I'm like, what is this deck? And then they play Teferi. And I'm like, okay, it's still a control shell, right? So they Teferi, they bounce our Silversmote Ghoul, which is fine because we're still getting a Prized Amalgam. They're in step. I should probably cut out that cough. If I remember, I will. So we get back our Prized Amalgam here. Get ourselves a little 3/3. And I'm debating now in my head if I want to, or at least in the microphone that's not turned on. Am I going to attack Teferi, or am I going to attack them? Well, I hit a Creeping Chill here, and that kind of made me think, oh man, if I attack them, that's really going to put them low. So I'm like, all right, do we just want to kill this Teferi? Do we want to attack them? I decide to attack them because Teferi's not going to do a whole lot to us right now, and we could potentially kill it off with Narcomoeba. So I was like, I'm just going to attack them. Let's get them down. We still have one Creeping Chill left. Let's get them down into a range where Creeping Chill is going to be an issue. And then after the attack, I decide they're tapped down. I'm bringing in the Ox. I'm bringing in old Ox of Agonas, just the best card this deck had upgraded since I was away from Magic, because that card is so good. I love Ox of Agonas. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck now. And I think when I first came back to Dredge, I wasn't playing this card right. And I've started to see like how you should use it. And it's just a bonkers card. It really is. It's just so wild. So we hit our 4th Creeping Chill, which is, I believe, I don't think they scoop to this. They go down to 1. We get back another Narcomoeba. We're going to get a couple Silversmotes. We're going to get a Prized Amalgam here. We're going to get a lot of stuff from our graveyard. I think they end up scooping here, maybe. Do they go to their draw phase? I can't remember. I just played this match and I can't remember. So, they scoop here. Okay. We go to our sideboards. I still think they're a control deck. Gemstone Caverns coming in. I'm going to go down a Arid Mesa, and I'm going to go down a Steam Vents, I believe. I go down Steam Vents. The idea is I want to keep as many tap all color lands as possible, and I still want to keep a good amount of fetches in our deck to find our relevant, our more relevant fetches, and I want to keep Stomping Ground in for our 1 copy of Life of Loam. I feel like I'm on the tail end of the people who are still playing Life of Loam, but I've played Dredge for so long that I'm just like, I don't understand how you can play this deck with not at least 1 copy of Life of Loam. I could probably make it something else, but I like Life too much. So I kind of decide that I still think they're on some kind of control shell. And when I go in blind to like what they have as for their graveyard hate, I just almost always Prismatic Ending, which may not be the right choice, but it's the more versatile card, and I have potentially a way to kill Teferi without attacking it. So I bring it in, I go down the Darkblast, I didn't really see any creatures, and I always tend to shred 1 Ox to bring in for graveyard hate. It's typically what I kind of do, don't know if that's right, but hey, look at there, Gemstone Caverns, boys. So I'm finally going to get to fire off Gemstone Cavern turn 1. Unfortunately, I don't have like the craziest of hands. Looking back at this match, I think I would have rather just ditched Creeping Chill here, but I decided to ditch Blood Crypt because I was like, worst case is we just cast this from our hand. So they're going to go Flooded Strand to our Gemstone Caverns. I wish we had an Otherworldly Gaze. That would be so cool, just Otherworldly Gaze. On turn 1. On turn 0, I guess. But we're going to turn 1 Cathartic Reunion, which is awesome in its own right. So I draw here, I believe, an Ox of Agonas. Yes. So I'm going to Steam Vents. And then I made a mistake here. So I Cathartic Reunion, I pitched Silversmote and Stinkweed Imp. I should have done Stinkweed Imp and Ox of Agonas. And I think I even tried to like figure out what I'm doing here. And my idea for Silversmote over Ox is like, well, if I hit a Creeping Chill, then I'm getting a 3/1 very early on, which is probably going to be problematic for them to deal with. But now I hit 1 Dredger in hand. I have no other way to discard my cards in my hand. And I have 3 Stinkweed Imps and an Ox of Agonas. Yeah, I have 2 Ghouls in the graveyard. but I did not hit anything, and I have a handful of stuff I can't get rid of. So realistically, I should have put Ox in the graveyard, so that could have potentially turned back on my my discard outlet, because I only have 7 cards, 6 cards in the graveyard right now, but I could have probably ended up getting more. It ended up paying out in the long run for me, but it is something that I need to think about a little bit better in the future. But Zagoth Triome for them once again. They get it Windswept Heath, and they fetch up, and I'm thinking, oh shit, here comes Rest in Peace, right? Because they're also Shocking and Hollowed Fountain, and then they just pass the turn, leaving me on all that kind of suspense. Especially because they were like, I'm going to cast something now. So I'm like, oh shit, they have Rest in Peace. And instead, they hit me with the good old ice here on the upkeep. Spoilers, I guess it takes them a while to decide to hit it. There it is. So tap target permanent, they get to draw a card off of it, which was actually super inconvenient because I top deck Cathartic Reunion here. And I'm like, I could have Cathartic Reunion, you suck. So I decided to hit them for the almighty 1, dropping them to 15. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just hoping there's not some kind of graveyard interaction, because even if I don't fire off Cathartic Reunion, I get to fill up my graveyard with some like crazy cards. So I'm like, even if like Cathartic Reunion doesn't go through, like this is going to be sweet. And so I'm sitting here actually just hoping they just go Teferi. And I'm like, oh, come on, let's just go Teferi. And I see Flooded Strand, and I'm like, and they crack it immediately. And I'm like, oh, come on, let's do Teferi. Let's do it. They ended up picking up a Steam Vents. A lot of land damage on our opponent's hand here. And we have Creeping Chills. So, and they go Teferi on turn 3. They bounce my Narcomoeba, which feels awfully weird. But I was like, okay, whatever. You're tapped down now, you know? And again, even if they had like something like Force of Negation, I don't care. So I fetch up here just so I don't mill over. I only have a Stomping Ground left in deck. Both Sacred Foundries are in the graveyard. So I'm like, I just doing it now so I don't mill it over, even just in case Cathartic Reunion goes off. Plus it thins my deck a little bit for this. And I felt like there was no reason to shock it in. Unfortunately, once again, we only hit 1 Dredger, but we do draw another Ox and another Cathartic Reunion. So I'm like, all right, life is still a-okay, long as they don't have graveyard hate. So we're getting back 2 Silversmote Ghouls here, which is also good. We're going to kill off Teferi. Our opponent's only at 9, which is good too for us. So we're going to just ship the turn. I'm feeling pretty good. As long as there's like no, sideboard interaction, I'm feeling pretty good. So would have liked to seen one of our prismatic endings though in hand. So this is the turn, I believe, where I get a little confused on what our opponent's doing, and there's something weird that happens here. So he's going to play Risen Reef. I go, oh, this is Elementals. Which, again, if I did not ignore their companion at the beginning of the game, of the match, I would have been like, oh, yeah. Hey, look, they got a companion. I think I go check it here in a minute. So they're going to evoke in Fury, to which I'm like, shit. No graveyard hate, which is good, but Silversmote was going to do a lot of stuff. Their Fury triggers don't hit, and I don't understand why. I don't understand what they target here. So they go on the stack, right? But they don't... Nothing happened. I don't understand what happened here. They Furied for nothing, and that's where I found out, oh yeah, they do have a companion. So I was so confused on what happened here. I have no clue what happened with this Fury, and I think this Fury mess up is clearly what won the game. I felt like I was okay in the long run anyway, because they didn't have a graveyard hate right there. So even if they did Fury away my Silversmotes, I was still going to have a pretty big turn this turn. And this is where I'm like, what happened with this Fury? Like, what was that all about? I don't understand what had happened there, like, at all. So we're going to attack our Silversmote. I'm debating again whether if I want to attack the Fury, and I'm just like, nah, let's just attack them. They're pretty low in life. This is 6 damage. I'll trade, sure. They decide not to block, take 6 damage to the face, and I thought, oh, well, we hit 1 Creeping Chill. We have 2 left in the deck. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fire off Thrilling Discovery because... And I tapped my lands wrong. I'm going to fire off Thrilling Discovery because we're going to get to gain 2 life off of it. And the reason why I did this instead of Ox of Agonas here is because I have a pretty killer hand with an extra Cathartic Reunion. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to dig. And boom, there it is. The Creeping Chills. So I'm just going to throw the stuff on the stack and pop. That's the game. Pretty simple stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know this is a little bit different than what I normally do. Again, sorry for sounding so sick, but I was sicker than a dog. And hopefully I'm going to get better as the week goes on. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, pressing the like button or subscribing goes a long way helping my channel out. The little bell notification will let you know anytime I upload videos. I do a lot of other gaming videos. And if you want to check out anything movie related, I have a movie channel that will also be in the link in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all later. Take it easy. Peace.